teacher Robin. Welcome to another live streaming class. I'm happy to be back with you today. If this is your first time to watch a class, let me explain how it works. Today our topic is weather and the environment. If you have a question during the class, write your question in the comments section and I'll answer it at the end of the class. I also have a few questions for you at the end of my lesson to practice what you've learned, and you can write your answers in the comment section as well. So let's get started with our lesson today on weather and environment with some weather vocabulary. Okay, so how do we talk about rain? There are different kinds of rain. First we have drizzle, which is just a light rain. Then a shower is a little bit heavier. A downpour is when it's raining very, very hard. And a flood is when the water level actually rises and sometimes your house or your car can get wet. Okay, how do we talk about clouds? So we can say cloudy. Gloomy is when it's kind of dark or cloudy outside, a little bit sad looking. Foggy, when it's fog, the air, sometimes it's difficult to see when there's fog. Overcast is similar, it's either foggy or cloudy outside. On the other hand, clear is when there are clouds in the sky, but the sky is blue. So this picture is a good example of a clear day. Okay, now when it's cold, there are different kinds of cold. For example, hail is like rain, but it's actually ice. So when it rains ice, we call this hail. Sleet is similar, but it's a little bit thinner. Sometimes when it sticks on the ground, making it difficult to walk or drive, we call this sleet. Flurry is a kind of snow when it snows very lightly. The snowflake is kind of the piece of snow itself. A blizzard is when it snows very heavily. And icy outside can mean either it's snowing or there's sleet in the street, for example. Okay, wind. How do we talk about wind? We can say there's a breeze, which is kind of a light wind. It's windy outside. Blustery is a little bit heavier wind. A gale is a very strong wind. And then a hurricane is when the wind is so strong it actually starts to knock things over and do some damage. Okay, how do we talk about the temperature? Okay, we can say it's hot, warm, so not quite hot, but not cold. So then cool is when maybe it's not really cold, but sort of in between. So this is sort of the scale. So we start with hot. If it's not that hot, it's warm. Okay, then cold. If it's not very cold, it's cool. So these are kind of the in-betweens. And then if it's really cold outside, we say it's freezing. Of course, 0 degrees is freezing outside. Okay. Lightning is when you see these kinds of lights in the air when it's raining, and then the noise that you hear, the big boom, is called thunder. So you can say it's lightning and you hear thunder outside if there's a storm. Okay, after it rains, many times you'll see a rainbow, so with all of the different colors. Smog outside is when the air is very thick. It makes it difficult to see, especially in the street as you're walking. Okay, so now that we've looked at some weather vocabulary, let's look at the grammar for how to talk about the weather. Okay, when we talk about the weather, we use it is plus the adjective. For example, to describe the weather. It is sunny today. It's hot and humid. Or it's a nice day today. Okay, on the other hand, we can also use it is with the verb plus ing, so the gerund form. Okay, the kind of weather that's happening right now, if we're talking about the weather currently. So for example, it's drizzling outside, so it's raining very lightly. It's snowing. Take an umbrella. It's raining. Okay, so these are some different ways to talk about the weather. Okay, you can also talk about the weather in different tenses, past, present, and future. In the past, for example, it was cold yesterday. In the future, it will be cloudy tomorrow. Or you can also talk about possibility in the future. It might be cold next week if you're not sure. Okay, so we can form adjectives from nouns by adding a Y to the end. For example, with the noun rain, the adjective is rainy, so it is rainy. Sun becomes sunny. See here, there's a double N. Wind becomes windy. Cloud becomes cloudy. And fog becomes foggy with two G's. So notice that sunny and foggy, you add another letter, an extra N and an extra G. Okay? Now, when you are talking with someone you don't know very well, or maybe you're waiting in line somewhere, a great conversation starter is the weather. So how can we make conversation about the weather with someone? Maybe you can talk about the forecast, which is a weatherman's prediction about the weather. So what a professional thinks is going to happen, their prediction for the weather, for the day, the week, or 2 weeks. Okay, so normally you'll hear there will be a high of and the temperature. So a high of 70 degrees Fahrenheit, for example, which would be the maximum temperature. Okay, so you have a high, and then on the other hand you have a low, the minimum temperature, a low of 50 degrees. Okay, you can say a record high or a record low, which means the hottest or the coldest day on record for that day in history. Okay? If it's very hot outside, you might be having a heat wave, which is a period of unusually hot weather. So it's not normally this hot during that time of year. Okay? If the weather or the temperature is below freezing, it's below 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. Okay, and they might also say there is a cold front or a warm front moving in. So a front is a kind of weather, means that the weather is coming. So cold weather is coming, a cold front is moving in. Okay, how can we ask someone about the weather? How do we form questions about the weather? We can say, what's it like out? Or what's it like outside? How's the weather? What's the weather like? What's the temperature? Or what's the weather forecast? Okay, now that we've talked a little bit about weather, let's look at our environment vocabulary, okay? So the environment, let's look specifically at natural disasters. So since we're talking about weather, sometimes we have very severe weather or things that happen in the environment that are called natural disasters. Okay, for example, an avalanche. This is when snow falls off of a mountain, sometimes covering houses or people, causing damage. An earthquake, when the earth shakes, okay, sometimes this can cause damage in streets or people's houses. Okay, a volcanic eruption, when a volcano erupts, okay, the lava comes out and smoke, so this can cause damage as well. A flood, as we said earlier, when it rains a lot and the water level rises. Okay, a tsunami is a storm in the ocean, in the sea. Okay, and a blizzard is when it snows a lot. So when there's heavy, heavy snowfall, we call this a blizzard. Okay, a drought is when it doesn't rain for a long time, many months, okay, causing dry weather, the plants will stop growing, okay, this is a drought. And a heat wave, as we said before, is when it's very hot outside, but it's not normal for that time of year. If you're having a heat wave, maybe in the spring when the weather should be pretty mild, it might be unnaturally hot, so that's a heat wave. Okay, a tornado. You might have a tornado. It can be in the sea or also on land. Okay, a hurricane occurs in the sea but can often affect the coastal areas. Okay, a wildfire. If a large area or a forest catches fire and spreads quickly, this is called a wildfire. A landslide is when it rains and mud moves throughout a certain area, which can damage houses or knock things over, trees, etc. Okay, now let's move on to some nature idioms. Remember that idioms are set expressions, phrases in English that we use. So let's look at some specific to nature. Okay, first we have to hit the hay. To hit the hay means to go to bed. So, for example, it's been such a long week, I cannot wait to hit the hay. Okay, next we have to be under the weather. If you feel under the weather, it means that you don't feel well, you're sick. Okay, for example, George stayed home today, he's a bit under the weather. All right, if someone is a ray of sunshine, it means that they are a happy and positive person. For example, Tina is such a ray of sunshine, she's always in a good mood. So a person who's very happy and positive is a ray of sunshine. Okay, I know this is a lot of information, but let's try to practice what you've just learned. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and you can write your answers in the comments section. Question number 1. What is the weather like where you live? What's it like right now? What is it like generally? Do you live in a mild climate? Is it very hot where you live? Does it get very cold? So what is the weather like where you are? Okay, second question, do you prefer cold or hot weather and why? Which one do you like more? Do you like being in a snowy climate, feeling cold, or do you prefer laying out by the beach in hot weather? Which one do you like more? And third question, have you ever experienced a natural disaster? So remember, some natural disasters that we mentioned are tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, an avalanche. Have you ever been near one of these or experienced a natural disaster? If so, tell me in the comments. Okay, as you're writing your answers, we want to offer you a gift from ABBA. At ABBA, we have a complete premium course from beginners to business level, featuring 144 units with short films, video classes, and exercises to help you improve your English. If you are currently a free student and you want to purchase our premium course, we can offer you a 20% discount, which is valid for the next 2 days, 48 hours. So right now we will post a link at the top of the page. In the comments, you can click on this link, which will take you to our website where you can use this promo code and go premium. Okay, now let's see who is joining us today. Where are you from? And what questions or comments do you have about the weather or the environment, nature, etc. in English? Okay. Let's see, just one moment. All right. Here we go. Okay, Eric says, says it is raining, okay, where he is. I prefer hot weather. And he, one time, he experienced, or an earthquake happened where he was, and it was terrible. Okay, thank you for sharing. Deity from Thailand, now it's raining, okay. Loose, the weather in Canada today is hot for the second day, okay. Camille, all right, I prefer cold weather. And what is hail? Okay, so hail is when it rains ice. So when you see like little balls of ice when it's raining, that's called hail. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're a little bit bigger and can actually do some damage. That's what hail is. Okay, Vicky, it was raining this morning in Taiwan. Okay, good. Tuong, it's a beautiful day in Vietnam. Okay. All right, Fidel, thanks for watching. Jairo prefers cold weather. Ficha, I like hot weather. Okay, from Florida, good. Esmat, thanks for joining. Gianna is from Mexico and prefers hot and dry weather. Okay, good. Bintu, thanks for joining. Sunil. All right, Milo, it's humid here. Okay, where are you, Milo? Malgorzata from Poland, Edwin from Bolivia, thanks for joining. Okay, Omap, the weather is shiny and cold, okay. Sanshu, I experienced an earthquake, okay, someone else. And Omap says he prefers snowy weather, okay, good. Saeed, watching from Italy. Pinka from Bulgaria, Clarice says it's raining here. Okay, good. All right. Tyro, I prefer cold weather to hot. Okay, good. Great. All right. Ismat, I like hot weather, but I'm living in Indonesia. Here the weather is very beautiful. Okay, good. Noel, the sun is shining in London. The weather is great. I hope that continues for the whole summer. Okay, great. A sunny day in London. Very good. All right. Someone asked, when will the next lecture be held? So let me tell you now, our classes are once a week. So our next class will be next week. You can find the calendar posted and pinned on our Facebook page. So just check it out at the top of the page. You'll find the calendar for the month of May with the topics and the date and time of each class. Our next class, we're going to talk about movie recommendations. So in a previous class, we talked about some TV recommendations. Now we're going to talk about what movies to watch to improve your English in American English and British English. So if you like watching movies and you want to improve your English by watching movies, then check out our calendar for the date and time of the class and join us next week. Okay, remember that you can also change your Facebook settings to receive notifications anytime we are live streaming. So if you haven't done that already and you want to get a reminder so you don't miss the class, you can do that in your Facebook settings. Okay, let's see, I'll take one last look at the comments. Let's see who's joining us. Patrisilva, sorry if I pronounce anyone's name wrong. Okay, I am Cape Verdean, okay, from the Green Cape. I am from, oh sorry, and now he is in China and it's warm. He has experienced a natural disaster, a volcanic eruption in Fogo Island. Okay, very interesting. All right, Giovanna from Mexico City. The weather here is very hot today. Okay. Bintu says, what is the meaning of the word wild? So wild means in nature in general. So savage, wild, if we say wildfire, it means a fire that happens in nature, like in the forest, outside. Okay. All Xiomara says in Miami it's raining, okay. All right. Haroon, I like sunny weather. I live in North Dakota in the US, okay. Grace, I hate the wet. Okay, when it's wet because it's easy to get sick. True, sometimes when it's cold outside, it's easier to catch a cold. Okay. Good. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for participating today. If you want to keep writing in the comments, please feel free to do so, and I'll answer your questions throughout the day. Mark your calendars for next week when we're talking about movie recommendations. Remember, at ABBA, in addition to our Facebook page, we also have a blog where you can read articles about culture and grammar. We have a Twitter page, a SoundCloud page where you can listen to podcasts, and we have a YouTube channel. So check out all of those free resources to improve your English if you haven't already. Okay? I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.